Okay, yeah, welcome. Well, we're with Donny Gillson, who is a 32nd degree Freemason and a Knights Templar researcher, and was
Actually,
an.
Knights Templar and a researcher.
Oh, sorry.
I'm part of the York
I
Rite and the Scottish
Boy,
Rite.
yeah, and okay, that's and was a an on-air personality in San Jose, California for KRTY FM, known on the air as Don Adams, and is currently living in St. Paul, Minnesota, on his way back to California. And we're here to talk with Donny about two things. Number one, his research on Comet Elenin, Nibiru, and the brown dwarf star. The end of the Mayan calendar being in 2011 rather than 2012. And secondly, what his research triggered as a reaction in the national security state. Okay, let's start with your research on Comet Elenin, Nibiru, and the brown dwarf star and the Mayan calendar end. How was it that you were led to this branch of research?
Sure. Well, I've always had an interest in, astrological type of things. One of the things that kind of prompted me was when the blue star over Norway back in 2009. Happened in December 2009. I kind of started doing a little research there because I was very interested in Hopi prophecy and the blue star and all of that and the end of the world and Armageddon. I'm a biblical man. I follow, I follow the Bible like a playbook. I look at it as a playbook almost, and I feel that a lot of these prophecies that the Hopis and a lot of the prophecies that the apostles had spoke about are coming true. And what really prompted me really getting in depth about this was back in February of this year when China and Russia was experiencing these dual suns.
Dual suns. What exactly were they?
Everybody was saying, even scientists had really no clue what this was, what this anomaly was. They were saying, well, they could be sun dogs, but to me, a sun dog is really close to the sun. These suns were fairly large apart. I mean, it kind of reminded me of the Star Wars, Luke Skywalker looking up at Tatooine, out of Tatooine, he sees the dual suns like that.
Okay.
It really kind of reminded me of that. And I noticed that we were having a lot of earthquakes and natural disasters were happening. And a lot of my friends on Facebook, I got a little bit over 5,000 friends on Facebook, got a pretty good following on YouTube, and I was getting fed information all around the world. And they're like, Donny, we're seeing weird, strange anomalies out here. And, I had friends in the Netherlands, friends in Australia, friends in Europe saying that they were seeing weird things in the sky and they really could not explain it. So I started digging deeper.
Did they think about HARP? For example, there's a lot of research that the November 9th event over Oslo was caused by the Tromsø, Norway HARP facility.
I believe that HARP is a psyop. I believe that everything that we are seeing right now is being triggered by Elenin, Levi, and Honda, the three comets that are on their way.
Okay, so we have a major difference in frame of reference because
yes.
I've done a lot of
research on HARP,
published,
and I followed that.
Published the
and I have followed that.
20 odd GPS locations of the top 20 HARP facilities and all that, but still, a brown dwarf is a brown dwarf is a brown dwarf. So let's talk about that.
Sure. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with the Microsoft Worldwide Telescope. It is an application that you can download off the internet. It allows you to take a look at the universe, the Milky Way, at least.
Okay.
And you can go further on, deeper down through the universe, through the Hubble telescope and stuff like that. But really kind of exploring the universe by the Milky Way by coordinates and such. And I started kind of, and then I also started getting, starting to understand NASA's Solar Observatory, the SOHO, which are the two satellites, the stereo A and B, which are on either side of the sun. And they are taking stereo images of each side of the sun every day, probably every 15, 20 minutes or so. You're getting a different image from all kinds of different angles of the sun. And I started right before the Japanese earthquake and tsunami. I did a interview with she's a psychic medium in San Francisco. Her name is Evie Hamill, and this took place on March 10th. And we did the March 11th was the Japanese earthquake. Am I correct?
13th.
Yeah, March 11th, right?
Yeah.
I
March
had predicted
9/11, 5/11. They like the 11
they like
events.
the 11s. And I had predicted something to take place of a large catastrophe taking place within that next week or so.
Okay.
That I think was going to be caused by this brown dwarf or this comet that is coming called Comet Elenin.
Okay.
Which I don't believe is a comet at all. I believe it is actually a ship, and it is an intelligent planet with intelligent life form on it. Now, what type of intelligent life form? I'm unsure. Some people are saying that they are the fallen angels, the Nephilim. Some other people are saying that they are people like us, that they're back to kind of they left this planet during the Atlantis times and now are coming back to help save the planet.
Well,
so
just to give you a check, that's not such a far out statement. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the famous comet back in the late?
99?
Yeah.
Hale-Bopp?
Yeah, Hale-Bopp.
That sucker followed me everywhere I went.
Well, there's a British whistleblower by the name of Michael Prince, who has stated from his inside sources that in fact the comet Hale-Bopp was being followed by a large mothership of reptilian extraterrestrials, and that was independently confirmed by the remote viewer Dr. Courtney Brown.
Okay, I have researched Dr.
And that all of the suicides in the Heaven's Gate cult were triggered by a U.S. intelligence program that can trigger suicides in order to cover up this extraterrestrial connection to that comet. And he says that the gray extraterrestrials went out to the comet and to the mothership following the comet with a tribute of 100,000 humans in kind of cryogenic form, or in, as kind of a food tribute to the reptilians that were on that mothership. And this is coming from a fellow that we just published an article on that has a lot of credentials and that is very credible.
That is very interesting that you say that, because this is exactly a dream that I had recently. I had a dream about a large mothership object coming down. I want to say it was somewhere in Arizona. It was during a big concert, and these people started boarding this craft, and they were partying, having a good time, doing all the drugs you could think of in the world, and then all of a sudden the doors slammed shut, and all I could hear is screaming, like that you've never heard before. And I saw this vision of I want to say it was almost like a dragon, but it engulfed everybody. It like took off and ate the souls of all of the people that were on board and silenced the whole place.
Yeah. No, that may be a prophetic dream. That may be some sort of a symbolic dream. It may be dream warfare and an implant of U.S. intelligence, which is also trying to create fear base in the population. But there is solid empirical evidence that the Draco reptilians are inimical to the human population, specifically to the human population of Earth.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Because last year, and I have video footage on this, I experienced something, and I thought I was going crazy. But I experienced a kind of a rapture in a way where I felt I went into kind of an interdimensional, different reality of sorts. And I was basically kind of going mad in a way. And I remember walking into this bar. It was called the Lucky 13 Club in Mendota Heights. And I came up, and there was this woman, and her name was, hang on a second, and it'll come to me, Laura.
Okay.
Her name was Laura, and she looked like that kind of that motherly type figure, something about her aura, about her, brought me to her. And so I walked over to the side of the restaurant bar, and I sat down with her, and she started she's like, "Oh, you look hungry. Do you want some food?" And so she starts carving this hamburger for me like a motherly would do. Yeah. And she says, "Oh, by the way, Donny, can you hold on for about 5 minutes? I need to go out to my car and get something."
Yeah.
I had never said my name to her.
Yeah.
And then she walks by my ear, and she says, "Don't worry, we're aliens." And she said that, and that is no lie.
Right.
This lady said this to me, and she looked just like you and me. Yeah. And it was the weirdest experience I ever had. But when she left, I had this feeling of her shape-shifting into a gray in her car. It was weird.
Right.
And her coming back into her form, her shape shifting was she knew that she had to get out of there, and because something with my energy was pulling it out of her. Yeah. Because I've had a lot of shape shifting experiences over the years, and a lot of paranormal. My grandmother was a psychic medium and a clairvoyant and a remote viewer. So I've been trained in those arts since a child. And so it does not strike me as far-fetched when you start talking about these types of things.
Right.
That's exactly what happened to me.
I would like to, I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but I just wanted to give you a validation about some information that has come out around Comet Hale-Bopp. Now, you were just talking about this comet, and I want to get you back on track.
Yes. Okay. And I believe that, it's kind of funny that you mentioned the Heaven's Gate cult, because actually one of my fellow Masonic brothers, his name is Tony, I'll leave his last name out, but he's from St. Louis, Missouri. And when I kind of started investigating Elenin, he's like, "Donny, you really need to start investigating the Heaven's Gate people, because they were on to something. They did it wrong, but they were on to something. And it had something to do with a connection with Mars." Anything on that?
Yeah, because if you go, for example, now we have ample, and this is witnessed by independent whistleblowers Michael Relf, who spent 20 years in the U.S. Armed Forces as part of the security detail at the U.S. secret base on Mars, Andrew D. Bishaga, who's been up to Mars twice, Laura Eisenhower, who they attempted to
Laura Eisenhower, I know exactly
kidnap or enroll to go up to Mars. If you talk to, or if you read Michael Relf's account, at the you get there back and forth. They're either teleportation or time travel corridors going back and forth. For the VIP visitors, you just go there by teleportation.
Sure.
But if you're there on a 20-year rotation cycle, they take you there via time travel, so you return on the exact same day that you left. It's these kind of time paradoxes. And what Michael Ralph says is that right there at the teleport time travel facility on the Mars ends of the base, the personnel that are there are Greys and reptilians. But the reptilians are cloaked because they're so fierce that humans go into terror just being around them. So that connected me up with what you just said about the bar anecdote, and it connects up with Hale Bopp. And in other words, that Hale Bopp was an intentional. These are, instead of sending a cruise missile to Earth, they're sending a guided astronomical body with a mothership behind it. But the intent is takeover of Earth society, which they're doing from the inside out through something called the military-industrial extraterrestrial complex.
Okay, sure.
Where a lot of the world leaders are clones now that are just directed by the ETs.
Well, that's interesting because when Osama bin Laden was captured, or not captured, killed, so-called killed.
Yeah.
I noticed something very odd about President Obama during that speech that he made on that Sunday evening. His eyes. Yeah. And I posted right away, I mean, almost immediately, I posted a video in regards to his eyes. They looked very reptilian. To me, I saw the slits, and I have actually encountered reptilians myself, close friends of mine who I think they've shifted because I've seen their eyes shift and go into a slit, and it's freaked me out. I mean, it literally, it happened last summer when I had to do some community service for driving after suspension.
Right.
But I had met a guy on the job that knew my family, and he turned to me, and when he turned to me, I saw his eyes, one of his eyes go slit, and I was like, "Oh shoot!"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh man, they're you know." I think they've known about me all along. You know, and that's not to sound conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but my father and my grandfather have always said that we have been communicating with extraterrestrials for as long as they can remember.
Now, let me get you back on the track of how you got interested in Elenin, in Nibiru, and the brown dwarf, which is coming in September of 2011. And today, by the way, is June 7th, 2011.
Correct. Well, okay, going back to the interview that I had on March 10th with Evie Hamill, I predicted something major to happen. Well, that evening, I woke up in a dream that around 3 a.m. and woke up in a night sweats, crazy dream, and I get online, and all of a sudden I have this news footage that was uncensored. It was just a plane flying over Japan, and this was sent from a Facebook friend of mine. Her name is Susan. I'll keep her last name confidential, but her name is Susan out of Australia, and it was just regular raw news footage of this plane flying over the tsunami as it was engulfing the land. And I mean, literally, it was like not even 10 minutes that I got up, got online, saw this, and I'm like, oh my God, what has just happened? And at that point is when I really said, you know what, something's going down here. And I need to figure out what it is and get to the bottom of it, because people got to know. People have to know what is happening. And you know, a lot of people have been trying to debunk this. And as a student of psychology, and a Christian man, which sometimes both don't go together too well. I consider myself a Christian scientist, and I figured that, you know what, this might be
Well, but that's not a follower of Christian Science, which is
correct.
a different thing.
Different thing, complete. Yeah, I'm a Christian scientist.
Yeah,
I try to take Christianity and actually find fact to it, and not as a Christian Scientist like the Watchtower and the Jehovah's Witnesses and all that stuff. None of that. Totally different way, more scientific-based scientific theory.
Okay.
But I was not a science. I was learning myself. I was stumbling and learning myself. I really didn't know what I was looking at, but I saw something
you have,
that was
and you in fact founded a channel that has a lot of videos on it, with regard to Nibiru and the brown dwarf, and you had assembled a lot of research.
Yes,
correct?
I have a lot of written research, coordinates, documentation, notes that I've taken with people that I've spoken to. I've had pictures, classified pictures that have been sent to me that were all on hard drives that I had been putting together kind of a montage, because I'm just one guy. So I'm trying to put together all of this information and build it. And it takes a lot of time.
Now, basically, what did you find? What have you been finding?
Well, the one of the main things I've been finding, and this brings me back to the worldwide telescope, is I found a uncharted moon out in the Oort cloud of Jupiter, just a little bit, several clicks outside of Jupiter. It's an uncharted moon, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why do we have a moon in the Oort cloud? And when I go to it, it's being uncharted. And then when I went to Earth, when it says go to Earth, and you click to Earth, I would go to Earth. I'd find all the other planets, and then all of a sudden I would go to where Earth was, and it would be a black hole. There'd be nothing there, and I'm like, what is this? So you click on the attribute of it and you find out what it is, and it says that it's the constellation Crux, Crux. And the constellation Crux, if you Google it, it is actually the exact same the so-called South Antarctica telescope shot of Nibiru with the it looks like a cross. You got 4 planets, and then you got the red planet in the between it. That is the same exact celestial system that Crux is, and that's exactly where Earth is. We're on the worldwide telescope, and I'm like, holy crap! And so I started digging deeper into Crux, and I find that Crux is actually that it is a imploded star, which I'm thinking that it might even be that imploded star called Betelgeuse that exploded about 650 million years ago. Yeah, and that the light of it is actually catching up to us at this present time. Right, and that actually Earth right now, we might not even be in the same exact spot. We might be the Earth might be under intelligent orbit control at this time, because I'm seeing a moon here in Minnesota that looks holographic. And
could you kind of restate that? So
sure.
So because there was a very famous movie called Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so that's been kind of part of the culture. Yeah. And so what you're saying is that we may have been repositioned.
I'm saying, because what I'm thinking is because I'm seeing this uncharted moon in different areas of the galaxy, of the Milky Way, and it seems to look like our moon. And so I've kind of looked at different. When I looked at how Nibiru, how the spaceship that I think is controlling Nibiru, And I think Comet Elenin is not a comet at all. I think it is the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs, and it's under a force field.
Okay.
And that it's kind of the energy that's pulling everything along.
Okay.
And it's kind of the what would you call, like, the emblem of a BMW? You know, it's like the emblem of the car.
But the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs would have stayed on Earth in the Gulf of Mexico. It wouldn't be recycled back into the.
Well, I mean, the asteroid that I'm referring to, and it looks very similar to. I don't know if you've ever seen the asteroid that is about the hollow Earth theory.
Okay, that's a version of it that I haven't been.
That the hollow Earth is not actually. The Earth is not hollow.
Yeah.
It's the second sun that the universe, that we are in a hollow Earth.
Okay.
That the universe itself is a hollow Earth.
Okay, good. Yeah. Gotcha.
And that this asteroid that I don't see it. I don't have my notes in front of me because all my notes are gone.
Yeah.
But this asteroid that, and I do think I have a picture of it on one of my videos that I did create as of recent. It looks almost exactly to this asteroid that has been. It's in the Orion Conspiracy, that show called the Orion Conspiracy. Remember that? It's in part 2 of it. They start talking about this asteroid, and that is Comet Elenin.
Oh, okay. Now,
I got to get back to reference of how I got it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. What you're saying that you want to state what the references are?
Sure. The comet that I'm talking about, the asteroid that I'm talking about, is shown in the show called the Orion Conspiracy.
Oh, okay. Good.
That's I think it's available on YouTube. But it was the Orion Conspiracy, according to my sources. I have been speaking to a Russian naval intelligence officer as of late, and his theory is that the Orion Conspiracy is everything that is stated in the Orion Conspiracy is true fact, but it's a snub to us, to, in a kind of in your face type thing. Well, here's entertainment, here's Hollywood, and an interesting story, but it's really not real. But it really is.
It is. So, what is your hypothesis, or what is your model of what's going to occur over the next 6 months?
Sure. I think that what's her name? Catherine Eisenhower, right? Is that her name?
Laura Eisenhower?
Laura Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Laura Eisenhower talked about, I guess there is a gathering at the end of June. It's with Dave Gildoff and those guys from The Secret. They're having a big festival. It's $777, and it's in Colorado.
Okay.
They were talking about this some truthers that left the truth movement to kind of go rogue because they think that it's going to be a false flag operation, and this might be the time when first contact appears.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. I also think that there is going to be another false. I don't know if it's going to be. Actually, I think it's going to be where we're going to see Nibiru. We're going to see the planets align in a V formation on July 14th of 2011, which is the birth date of Ra. Okay. A lot of the Anonymous, that hacking group Anonymous, they have been talking about this big false psyop that's going to happen on July 14th. They're going to do something big. Hollywood's talking about doing something big because that was the day the Hollywood sign was inaugurated, and something big is going to happen on that day. I have a video on my YouTube channel that has the V for Vendetta guy talking about this big thing, big event, and it's been online now for over a year. what's going to happen on July 14th over the Hollywood sign. I think this has a connection with the Alex Jones V for Victory. It's got the connection to what's his name, the White Dragon guy out in Japan. You know what I'm talking about?
Ben Fulford.
That's him. Yeah, Ben. I think this is going to be a false hope. I believe that
you mean what is going to be a
I think
false hope?
that we're going to what they're going to do is they're going to open up. They're going to make everybody rich.
Where who the
everybody will have a plethora of money. They're gonna make a we're gonna have first contact. The aliens are gonna come. They're gonna say, "Hey, we're here. We're here to help." You know, there's no such thing as money. Everybody can live the millionaire lifestyle. Yeah. They're going to say, well, now we're going to, the Virgin Atlantic guy is going to say, hey, let's go to the moon, and, you can go to the moon. You can, they got a space station on the moon. There's going to be a year of all of this happening.
I'm just trying to catch up with you.
Sure.
Because here we are in June of 2011, and the brown dwarf is going to make its closest pass on September 26th, right?
Elenin will.
Oh, Elenin.
Elenin will. Yeah.
Elenin's
actually going to be a total psyop, because what they're prompting right now is they are saying, a lot of the astrologers are saying, well, the tail of it is it's really wimpy, and Elenin itself is just a ship.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just a ship. It's really going to be the thing that we really need to really look out for is Levi, the Comet Levi. That one's going to cause some major problems, and I think that's when Comet Levi gets the closest. That's October 20th of this year.
Okay.
What's his name? Camping guy, Harold Camping.
Okay.
He says that's the end of the world.
Okay. Okay, so where does the brown dwarf figure in?
Brown dwarf is not going to make its appearance until probably March 22nd of next year.
And that's
according to the astrological computations that I've computed. Yeah. It looks as though it won't come until March 22nd of next year.
And that's 322, which is the Mars secret sign of Skull and Bones. Okay, yeah. So now. And so what's the relationship of the brown dwarf? What's the function of the brown dwarf?
Well, the brown dwarf star, and this is this goes back to where I think we're being moved around.
Yeah.
I think the brown dwarf is really the intelligence officer that I'm talking to in Russia. He calls it Project Ghost.
Yeah.
And what Nibiru itself is, the planet Nibiru from ancient times is no longer. It's a ghost.
Yeah.
And that this planet exploded, or this star exploded billions of years ago.
Right.
But the light itself is starting to catch up to us. Mm-hmm. So, as we know, light and the universe has intelligence. I think what took place in the Dark Ages when they saw like werewolves and vampires and all kinds of weird things, what they actually were seeing in the skies or in front of them were holographic images or light, intelligent light. And I think that is what's going to happen. We are going to see, and this sounds really odd, but we are going to see things that like ghosts that are trapped in the universe. It's not going to be a fun time to be. I mean, if you know what's going on, it's time to grab the popcorn and watch a good movie. But if you're not prepared for it, or spiritually and mentally prepared for it, you're probably going to go a little Looney Tunes. And I'm sorry to say, I'm scared to say that we're probably going to see a lot of suicides.
Okay, now. So do you foresee large-scale Earth changes then as a result of these three bodies?
I do. Yep. Some of the evidence this is evidence that I don't have anymore. I had some scientific evidence that the pole shift will happen in 2012. It will be a full pole shift, and that we might enter an ice age within the next 2 years, a mini ice age of sorts, which is kind of making sense to me because actually here in Minnesota, it's been fairly cold, which, we've dropped down since the earthquake in Japan. The pole has shifted another 30 degrees. Since 2009. I think it's a whole 30 degrees. If it goes another 3 degrees, now we're hitting the number 33 again. Something, and we're already on a wobble. So if we're having a full pole shift, that would mean we're going to have earthquakes. That could bring us to the part where the Madrid fault line opens up. We could have major catastrophes out west. Your area could go underwater. Another lady I've talked to said that this would be the time of the volcanic planet that would be showing up. And this is where the Nephilim and the fallen angels will come. And then this is going to be, I don't know what what your faith is in God and all that, but I think they're looking for souls and easy souls to grab. Because you're talking about sacrifices during the Hale-Bopp time. This is going to be a huge sacrifice to the sun gods and or the reptilian gods or whatever you want to call them, because they're dying, their energy is dying, and to fuel this energy, they need the souls. They need the souls. Souls have weight. Did you know that, Alfred? Did you know souls actually have a weight?
Yeah. They had, in fact, there's a Swedish scientist who actually has measured the weight of a soul.
50 grams, am I correct?
Yeah, something like that. Now, so that's pretty much the vision now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're gathering all of this information and you're putting it all together, and there's an unexpected intrusion from the national security state. And what's that?
Okay. Oh boy, this gives me chills even talking about it.
And you, as a former talk show host, are aware of the First Amendment,
correct,
implications of all of this.
Oh yes, of course. Well, okay. On March 28th May 28th, just a couple weeks ago, I was reading a Bible passage in my home, and we have a farmer's market right outside of my house right here. I live near a farmer's market, and every Saturday and Sunday they have a huge bustle. It's a lot of people. And I was training. I've got a little dog here. His name's Toto. And he's only 5 months old. He's just a little guy. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? And I was training him how to kind of sit in the window. How much is that doggy in the window? And people were walking by, and they were like, oh, look at the dog in the window. And I had him wrapped up in an American flag, and he was just kind of chilling. And all of a sudden, I came across this. I was reading this passage in the Bible. I had my window open, and it was a Kings 2, chapter 19. It's where they talk about the fall of Babylon and the raising of the new temple. And I started reading it with a very, passionate, like Christ was filling me with passion. And all of a sudden I get this knock on my window. Bam, bam, bam. And I see this young punk. Could have been more than 20, 21 years old. He's got these, like, Oakley, glasses on, a little Asian kid, dressed in cop. He didn't even look like a cop to me. He looked like a rent-a-cop, but I guess he was St. Paul PD. And he said, we gotten complaints that, we heard a large ruckus in here, and we've got some complaints, and we need you to just quiet it down. And I turned to the guy and go, what? I'm like, I'm reading my Bible, and you're telling me that I'm creating a ruckus? Basically, F off. That's basically what I said. I basically, told him to F off, and I said, whatever. He says, if you don't quiet down, there's going to be trouble. Next time we come back, there's going to be trouble.
Okay.
And so at that point in time, I was like, all right, I guess maybe I'll chill out a little bit. So not even 20 minutes later, I made the mistake of having my door unlocked in my house. Never really ever do that. And all of a sudden, my door was swung open. And I hear, St. Paul police, drop your weapon. I'm like, drop my weapon? What? I'm like, I got a Bible in my hand and my dog in the window. And I'm like, do you got a search warrant to come into my house? They're like, we don't need a search warrant. We got, because let me backtrack a little bit. The Thursday before, I got caught sleepwalking in my apartment complex.
Oh.
They had me videotaped. So my apartment manager had called the police on welfare of me to make sure I was okay. Yeah. And I spoke to her. I'm like, wow, I'm looking at the video footage. I'm like, God, that doesn't even look like me, you know? Like, and I have a history of sleepwalking. When I was a kid, I used to sleepwalk.
I see.
You know, and yeah, you know, it's
so,
and you know,
so it's a complex
that could have something to do with
human story.
You know.
Okay.
So, anyways, they had came that Friday to check on me, prior to this break-in, and I wasn't home. I was out doing my own research and doing my own business,
yeah.
and so they came and they're like, drop your weapon, and I'm like, I ain't got a weapon, and I'm like, you got a search warrant to come in the house? They're like, we're checking on your welfare, and I'm like, and I'm seeing like 10 cops bust into my door, and I'm like, do you have a search warrant? And I'm standing there, you know, I'm standing up, you know, I'm a big guy, about 325, 6'4", and they're coming in, guns drawn. And I'm like, see, one flank me on my right, one flank me on my left. Now, I'm an ex-military man, so I know exactly when things are getting serious. And I'm like, oh, shit, you know, and I'm like, you guys better get out of my house. You have no right in my house. Get out. They're like, we're coming in. So the capes start coming in, and I basically went down and sat down on my couch and right near the window. So anybody that could see in the window could see in. And this one guy's got a laser pointer on my head. The punk Asian kid got a laser pointer on my head. And then I've got these guys with tasers. And I looked at these tasers, and they didn't look real to me. I was like, now I thought, okay, we got a joke happening here. I'm thinking, okay, they're here just to scare me a little bit, you know, and this is kind of a psych op of some sort. So I'm like, kind of like, all right, guys, the gig's up, you know. I'm like, you know, and then they start getting real serious. They're like, you are coming with us. Quit resisting. I'm like, I'm not resisting. And the next thing I know, I'm getting tased. I must have got tased at least 20 to 25 times. I took it.
And you're still alive?
And I'm still alive.
Wow.
I have a spool of taser wire in my home right now. A spool of taser wire. I wrapped it up like this, you know. I'm like, how much taser wire comes out of a taser? I have no clue. But I'm like, I'm wrapping it up. I'm like, holy crap. Well, they tased me. I went into convulsions. I had a seizure. And they got me in the ambulance. They cuffed me, pushed me down, and a lot of after that is real hazy to me. I don't remember. But here's something really odd.
Yeah.
Now, this is going to really kind of freak everybody out. And this kind of freaked me out. In the medical report during my hold, and they said that I said I was a time traveler and my name was Commander John Titter.
They said that?
Yes. They said that I said
that
I was a time traveler, I was stuck in this year, and that I was the man that went into that I was a Commander John Titter, and when I went into the psych hospital, everybody was calling, all the mental patients there were calling me Commander, including the orderlies.
Is that what you said?
That's what I said, and I never said it. I don't remember saying it.
No, but that's what they wrote in the report.
Now, that was one of the reasons why they were going to hold me on the 72 hours, because I was delusional, they said.
Now, what happened to your research on Elenin and Nibiru and the brown dwarf?
I came back. My house is, when I was finally released a week later.
Yeah.
I went through. They drugged me up so bad. I don't know if. Yeah. See that right there? Yeah. That I was just picking at that. That is this whole arm was so puffed up from cuff marks and this arm too. There's still,
Yeah.
all over my body. I got taser marks all over my belly.
Oh my gosh.
Just ridiculous. I went into seizures. They held me for 72 hours, and then they said when my 72 hours were up, they at this time Donny was coming back because it took me about 3 days to actually come back. And this is not the first time this has happened, Alfred.
Oh.
This happened in Eugene, Oregon to me in 2002.
I.e., you were attacked by the national security state?
Yes. And I was locked up. I was locked up in a jail. My civil rights were taken away from me. This is all documented. I tried in 2002 to get media attention on this. I've got a full manifest that details this. And here's the weird thing.
Uh-huh.
When I was locked up in 2002, I went back and kind of looked at Soho and what was happening in 2002 during the same time I was locked up. So, Nibiru, or whatever planet, was going through our solar system bright as hell during that period of time. And at this time, I was talking about the end of the world, that I had to get things ready prepared for the end of the world and all this stuff. This was back in 2002. This was right after 9/11.
Now,
so
right.
this kind of it's got off topic a little bit. We can maybe go into that later at a later time.
Because that establishes that they may have an official file.
Yes.
On you with regard to that subject matter.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Now that may have now. Do you think that the Asian policeman coming to you was a setup, or do you think it was just a kind of a human situation?
Well, here's the thing, and I detailed this in my in some of my testimonials after all of this took place. I've got about 3 different videos. I think you've watched a couple of them, my family is very. We've got over 70 years of service here as St. Paul police officers and Ramsey County sheriffs. I was pretty much the only Gillson that did not get involved in public service.
I see.
And I did that because I thought it was a corrupt system.
Yeah.
And
although you did go into the military, which is a form
I did.
Of
yep,
service.
I did go in the military, but I snubbed that one too.
Yeah. Okay.
I was a Grateful Dead head. I was a hippie. So it was really difficult for me to keep with the military guidelines. I tried, but it just wasn't for me, and I got out. I got honorable discharge. That's what we'll say.
Yeah.
I got honorable discharge, but I got out a little early, but according to my father, who is a retired Ramsey County sheriff, 35 years, him and a man named Bob Fletcher, who is a St. Paul police officer, he used to be the Ramsey County sheriff here. Him and Bob were very close friends years ago, working together. Now Bob is the head downtown St. Paul police captain. Uh-huh. He's the one that's in charge of all of the police here. And I read an interesting comment on one of my videos. A guy goes, "It looks like you're living you're living what it says in the Bible, that you'll pay for your parents' sins. That the children pay for the parents' sins." And interesting enough, that day, my father said, "I'm really sorry that you're having to go through this, because this has something to do with stuff that we did back in the 70s, and your grandfather's investigating some murders back in the 50s and 60s." But I don't know where this all connects, but I know there's something weird going on here.
So you think you're a targeted person,
correct?
And there's evidence for that. But I guess the point I'm trying to get to is this.
Sure.
Do you think that there was an intervention of the national security state because you're looking at Nibiru brown dwarf material and Elenin material that national security state wants to keep covered up? I guess that's the crux.
That is an accurate statement.
Really?
That is an accurate statement
Okay.
because they know that I'm a threat.
Yeah.
They know that I'm smart enough to figure this out. Because interesting enough, right outside my window here,
Yeah.
they are building this thing called the Nash. It looks like they're calling it our Central Corridor Light Rail, but it's funded by, and I just took a picture of it. Hang on a second here. I can pull it up. It is funded by the Federal Transportation Committee.
Okay.
And it is a large facility that looks like it could actually hold an ark of some sort. And there is, I don't know if you're familiar, if you've ever been to St. Paul, very similar to you're Seattle, right? Or
I'm up in Vancouver.
You're in Vancouver, but you know Seattle very well.
Yeah,
Seattle's got a lot of underground. It's an underground city.
Yeah.
Well, St. Paul is very similar. It's very actually the guy who designed St. Paul was the guy who designed Boston, and we've got a lot of underground facilities here. Well, they not only and I don't know if you're familiar with Agenda 28. Yes,
I know Agenda 21. Actually,
21. I'm sorry, Agenda 21.
I flew over the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport because I had to change planes going to the Madison 9/11 conference where I was speaking on the day after the bridge collapsed, which was actually, we think, was done intentionally as part of the NAFTA highway.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That's an accurate statement.
Yeah.
Because I think what they're building here is something. Because we're seeing, I started talking to my intelligence officer a little bit more about this. There are some strange mounds around my place, and I call them the scorpion ships. Yeah. They look like frickin' scorpion ships,
right?
And it looks like it's leaking fuel, and they are. If you're familiar with black magic at all, where these scorpion ships were. Last year, they had a huge big top, and that Circus de la Say, or whatever it's called, was there. And what I believe is they were doing black magic to bring up. I believe that these ships aren't going to come from the sky; they're going to come from underground.
Okay.
They're going to miraculously appear someday. They're going to be landing, and they're going to be there. And these are demonic. And
well, the Draco ships, their bases are in underground bases below the deep underground military bases like Dulce. These are below those.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I remember when I flew out, I went and saw the Grateful Dead out at Red Rocks back in 2003.
Yeah.
And when me and my buddy Bill landed in Red Rocks, it was very weird because lightning was striking the ground and there was no thunder. And it was happening all around us. And I was like, you know what? Something is energy filled underneath here. And my buddy Bill is like, yeah, man, and I knew either my conductivity in my own body was helping produce this, because I have also noticed that last year I had a very strong, powerful. There's a Facebook fan page called The Ark, and one of the ladies that runs that had been watching my research from last year, and she actually saw me kind of dwell up a very large storm when I started speaking in tongues, and it was a pretty intense storm. And I mean, lightning was going; you wouldn't hear any thunder, but you saw the rain coming down, and I'm just going off. And people are like, "What the hell is this guy's crazy or what?" You know. Well, I've been baptized with the gift of tongues since 1996.
Okay.
I was on. Did you get where I was on?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. The screen froze up just as you started talking about speaking in tongues. So that's what happened.
Wow, weird.
Now, we are actually running out of time on this segment, and we're like in the last 5 minutes.
Okay, well,
so
you get briefly to the point.
Yeah,
and kind of talk about. Let's talk about briefly. Talk about Nostradamus. I believe that that possibly I might be the one man that Nostradamus talks about in his quatrains.
And who is that man?
Well, it's interesting that if you've seen Nostradamus's paintings, there is a painting of Comet Elenin. It's actually a dragon with 9 comets wrapped in it, and a face with a king, and it looks like a dragon. And then on the next quatrain, there's a guy at a computer screen with kind of long hair, and you see this mushroom cloud coming up, and written in the mushroom cloud says "one man." And I started researching the comets of 1833, the great comets of 1833, where they thought the big end of the world was coming. Well, Levi and Honda were there in 1833. The only thing that was missing was Elenin. Well, that's the Holy Trinity right there. That I believe is the Trinity.
Is Comet Levi, which is coming in October.
Levi will be the closest October. It'll be 0.23 astronomical units away from the Earth, and that's when that hit Jupiter.
And the second one is what?
Honda.
Honda, is that Honda?
Like Honda the car,
or
motorcycle.
And when is that one coming?
I think. Well, all of them are going to be in a perfect triangle on September 11th. They'll all be kind of a perfect. September 11, 2011.
Right.
They will be in a perfect triangle. If I'm not mistaken, Elenin will be to the north. Levi will be to the east, and Honda will be to the west.
To the west. I've always seen comets as kind of harbingers of change, but in a positive way. For example, with Comet Hale-Bopp, from a certain point of view, that opened up the whole galactic era of 1999 forward. So that it's like looking at the glass half empty and the glass half full.
Well, I think I remember seeing a video of yours, and you were, I think, might have been at Mount Shasta or something.
Oh,
we're talking about that. Yeah. We were on a positive trajectory.
That's the Mount Adams statement, and I've
Mount Adams statement.
Yeah,
isn't that funny? My name's Don Adams. Or Michael.
There you go. And I've actually written a series of articles that we have parallel timelines. Mm-hmm. We have a catastrophic timeline, and there's a parallel timeline, which is a positive timeline.
Right, and that's actually I wrote in 2000. I have a manifest. It's called The Message, and it was all done through automatic writing.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're familiar with who Diane Robbins is.
Tell me.
Diane Robbins is she has been communicating with some beings from a land called Telos.
Okay.
From the Hollow Earth. And basically talking about how we are entering the proton belt, and that there's 2 choices we can make. We can either go the path of light, which is catastrophe and death and destruction, or we can go the path of happiness, love, light, and continue down.
Yeah, you mean darkness or light.
Darkness,
right.
Yeah. And I am trying to I've been trying to wake people up since forever.
Yeah.
That we do have these 2 paths to choose. I'm ready to whatever path happens in my reality.
Yeah.
I know I'm okay because I'm going to be thrown into whatever. I'm going to be thrown into the light anyways because I'm spiritually ready.
Right.
And so if I have to sit here and my job is to be in that plane of catastrophe, maybe that's my job as a light worker. That I have to do that.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not. Maybe now this is time. I'm a warning, like Noah warned everybody.
Yeah.
That hey, this is going to happen. I have recently found new Noah tablets, and I have them in my house. They didn't know what they were. They don't got them, and I have Noah tablets. But I'm going to close off with this. all my Elenin research is gone. They stole about $1,000 worth of cash flow in my house. Which has made me almost penniless right now because that was pretty much the last of my money that I had because I'm a 99er. Been off unemployment for a long time, and I'm on disability right now for some personal reasons. This has been my life is getting this word out, and I've dedicated my life to this.
Right.
I could care less about a job now. I completely wanted to take myself off the grid if I could. But I came back to a house that was completely destroyed. They had taken my dog away. Finally got my dog back, and he's just sleeping over there. He's having a good old time. Yeah. But here's something interesting that happened last night. Right after we had kind of briefly talked online, I remember I told you I was going to dinner?
Yeah.
And I went up to dinner last night, a place called the Bulldog here in St. Paul. And I walked in. There were 3 officers at one of the chairs, and they were eyeing me down. And I knew right away. I felt very uncomfortable walking in. And the next thing I'm having dinner, and they take off and do whatever they do. And then I'm walking back home. And as I'm walking back home, all of a sudden I saw 5 squad cars coming up Broadway, pretty much right over here to my left of to the right of my house, and then I saw another 5 squad cars coming down Broadway, and they kind of cornered me in a parking lot between my house, and this is about midnight last night.
Yeah.
Here I hear, Donny, we want to talk to you, and I'm like, what do you want from me now?
Yeah.
And they're like, we just want to make sure you're in a right mental state of mind. And we just want to make sure you don't have any weapons on you or anything like that you're going to harm yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, what right do you have to do this? And why does it take 20 of you to do this?
Yeah.
And they're like, and I go, is Bob Fletcher behind this?
Yeah.
And at first minute I said, is Bob Fletcher behind this? And they're like, well, we can't tell you, but we need you to turn around and put your hands above your head. So I complied. Put my hands above my head. Yeah. They started searching me. And, I'm like, dude, it's my keys, my wallet, and they're like, well, what are you doing out here tonight? I said, well,
there was no probable cause.
No probable cause. Yeah. None. It was harassment, total harassment. Yeah. And then they go, well, we heard about some YouTube videos you've been posting.
Oh.
That kind of a little sensitive to the department. And and I'm like, I said, you know what? You guys pissed me off. You tased me 20 times. You almost tried to kill me.
Yeah.
And you tried to shut me the F up.
Yeah.
You blatantly, violated my civil rights. And the guy goes, Donny, that wasn't us. That was somebody else. It wasn't us. We're the nice guys. We're trying to check on your welfare.
Oh, okay.
And they were actually being quite polite and quite nice, actually.
Okay.
And, and I was like, all right, that's fine. But I'm like, it doesn't take 20 of you to knock on my door or to corner me in a lot when there's nobody else around, no witnesses, no nothing.
So you have a feeling now, like in Enemy of the State, like being super surveyed because you're outing this huge secret. Is that it?
And that's very true because I did get in contact this morning with my source in Russia.
Yeah.
And he said to me that I have a bigger problem than just local.
And what's that?
That the U.S. government is now looking into me.
Yeah, because you're outing a secret. Is that it?
And I said to him, I go, well, I said that could be a double-edged sword. I said, well, one, it could be good that I got some government, like maybe protecting me a little bit. Yeah. Like maybe these guys that cornered me last night really were checking out for my welfare and wanted to make sure I was okay and that they were really good guys.
Yeah.
Don't know. And when they left, one guy yells out the door out of his squad car. Yeah. He's like, Donny, thank you so much for being polite with us. Have a great night.
Oh, good.
So it was weird. It was a total 360 of I experienced 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
So there could be 2 entities happening here.
Yeah.
that I have because another light worker today says I put a divine light ring around you. Now,
that's good.
Going to touch you.
Yeah. Now, in just a few words, what do you think that secret is that you're outing?
The lie.
It's what?
The lie.
The lie that there is nothing coming.
There's nothing coming.
Sorry?
No, the lie that what they're preparing for. What they're preparing for. They've known all along that this has been coming. They want this Earth for themselves. These reptilians want this Earth for themselves.
Right.
Because we've got everything that they want, and they want our souls.
Right.
And that's what it's all about.
Okay.
The reptilians are pissed that I know.
Okay, so it's not about the Earth changes. It's not about underground bases in Norway.
Oh.
It's about the reptilian occupation.
It is.
That's it. That is the secret.
That's the secret.
Right. That's the secret.
It totally is, because they know I see them.
Yeah.
They know that I've got that sixth sense.
Yeah.
And it's like a dog. You know, it's like a wolf.
Yeah.
I smell it like a wolf. They scent them.
Yeah.
And it's scary because you know, and I said, and I've made it public. I said, you know, I might have to die for my. You know,
I just finished an article in which I took a 2.5-hour interview by a gentleman who I've had the pleasure of meeting, Michael Prince.
Right.
His adoptive name was James Casbolt.
Okay.
And I'll send you the link to that.
Love
because he talks about the gray reptilian war. Mm-hmm. And what they found is that they look into different species from a point of view of survival dynamics. And that overall, the human species, Homo sapiens, has the highest survival dynamics. Mm-hmm. So that they've calculated that in the reptilian-human showdown, humans are going to win because we have the highest survival dynamics.
Well, yeah, of course, and I also, and this we can talk a little bit more in depth at another time, but I also have been contacted through automatic writing through a interdimensional council called the Patal race. Have you ever heard of them? PAA-TAL.
I haven't may or may not have seen that.
What I have gotten, and this was in my notes too, is that there are some rogue Patal that are on this planet right now that cannot intervene. They have to. They're watchers, basically.
Yeah.
And they've been sent in from a different dimension. And actually, on one of my videos, this intelligence officer says that this lady in Argentina says that I have actually changed the course of time or changed the future because I outed these light ships that showed up on the Worldwide Telescope. And these light ships are actually friendly, and these are the Patal race.
Far out. Wow. So this can be one. So you have a large mission ahead of you. Now, I want to ask this.
Sure.
Do you have plans to... You have a YouTube channel, and we're going to be putting up the link to that YouTube channel so people can go to it.
Okay, thank you.
How can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
You know, best way is to email me, and I'm open with my email address. It's just I ask, please don't spam me.
Yeah.
But it's Don Gillson. That's DONGILSON.
Yeah.
@gmail.com.
Okay, good.
Or if they want to Skype me like you are, add me, and that's Berkeley Knight, and that's spelled BRKLYKNIGHT, and you can put that up if you'd like, Alfred.
Okay, good.
If people want to Skype me, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about this. as I have said in the very beginning, and one of my videos, Elenin 9, which is one where I really kind of get in depth, and that was kind of my first channeling rant, and some of those predictions have come true and some haven't. So, as this lady says, I've kind of changed the future. So the future can be changed. Yeah. And it's really up to our consciousness and how we perceive things in the future. Yeah. And if we can start waking people up to the light, we can really overpower these reptilian, these monsters, these light killers, and we can win the day. And we can create this, what they want to call it, 5D Earth or whatever. But we can create this, something I said recently. I said, I had to be all for a new world order if it was based on, it was. One of my friends, Zalfa Mead, and I, we were the founders of the Global Republic, and we call it the Global Republic because there's no hierarchy whatsoever. Everybody's equal. Yeah, and there's no administrative. It's everybody has communication and input into the creative collectiveness of the Global Republic, and that's the beauty. That's it's not this pyramid, like the Illuminati wants. Right. It's flattened. It's on the level, and that's the thing that I've always said to my Masons, to my Masonic family, my brothers, is one of the operative tools of Masonry is the level. Yeah. And I don't see us ever meeting on the level in the lodge. I always see a pyramid. Yeah. And I bring it up, and they're like, "Well, Donnie, you need to hush out a little bit and get in line." I'm like, "No, we're supposed to meet on the level." And Masonry's gotten way out of whack. And so I'm trying to bring a more of a Gnostic look into Masonry. And I think I have a positive outlook for life. I have a positive outlook for what's going on. They don't scare me. They might be, I took 25 tasers. I think I'm going to be okay. Unless they take off my head, then, I have a different story.
So I take it you're going to continue your work, looking out there. You're going to, and the best way for people to keep up with your work is to check your video channel.
My YouTube channel they can friend me on Facebook. Yeah. Do have the Donny Gillson, or another thing they can look under. It's Donny Ben Enoch. Okay. And like Enoch from Noah's time. Okay. They could search that. Yeah. Or they could my Don Adams. Yeah. Not really much on that account as much as I should. I should get on it a little bit more because I got so many friends on my. But also, they can like the message page, right? And that's the message, the investigation of the state of your own faith. That is a like page, and they can go to www.facebook.com/themessage2012, and there. That everybody can I will be posting stuff there. Anything that I put on my YouTube channel, any stuff that you're doing, anything that I see that's relevant to what's going on, I'm going to keep investigating and keep researching and starting back up. I'm asking for help again. Yeah. And this is a great starting point, Alfred, and I really appreciate your time tonight. Totally. We've been talking off and on for a long time here. And you've kind of seen me grow, and we might have agreed and disagreed on some things.
No, but I mean, yeah. So this is very, very important work that you are doing. It's multi-dimensional work, and I really want to support you in your process. And this will be coming out shortly, and I hope that you will join us again on Exopolitics TV, so you can keep us abreast of what's happening there. Yeah,
and I am actually one of the things that I really want to do is many years ago, and I'm sure you've heard of the True White Brother, Hopi prophecy. Actually, a Hopi Indian at one time said that I was the True White Brother.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, "You are him." And I'm like, yeah, right, I am. Smoke a little bit more of that ganja there, buddy. But it really makes sense because, as I said, I have these NOAA tablets, and I would like to get these down to the four corners, down to Arizona at some point. I think it's going to be an exciting summer. I'm really excited to document.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing a lot of, the next couple of weeks here, I'm just kind of piecing my life together.
Right.
This was a very traumatic thing that took place for me.
Yeah.
And the first things first is my mental health and making sure that I'm, because I'm all alone right now, and
what we'll do is we'll put all the different ways that people can contact you and can become involved in the work that you're trying doing. I mean, I know people that go down to Hopi Land, so there's all kinds of connections, I think, that can really help you.
I would appreciate anything that you could do for me. As I have always said to everybody, I am not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for fame. I am doing this because I love everybody out there.
Amen. And thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless.
You're a good man, Alfred. You're a good man.
Hey, it's a reflection that is mutual in us.
Well, it's and I remember, and I can remember seeing you on that Mount Adams thing, and I think I saw that video last year.
Yeah.
And you were standing there, and I'm like, God, I wish I was right there with him. It was just a beautiful scenery, and someday you and I will sit there and we'll be saying that we were right all along.
Amen. Amen. Well, thank you so much, and we will be seeing you soon.
Sounds good, brother.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.